listening to Zap Night, a video game review podcast. Join your hosts as we review video games from all systems and all genres. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Zap Night. I'm your host, Danny.
I'm your co-host, Kaylie.
Today is episode 68, and honestly, I didn't know if we were going to get to this episode today.
Me either.
I have been worried about this one for a while.
It was not supposed to be this way.
I understand.
We had high hopes.
I know.
I had high hopes.
I know. So today we are talking about Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. This was an episode that should have been last month when I beat it. I was actually worried. I was legitimately, I think you were too.
I think at one point I was on the phone with you saying, like, I don't know if I'm going to beat it this month.
And it's not because the game is overly difficult. It's really just because a lot of stuff is going on.
Kaylie is overly difficult.
You know how it is. I mean, there are times we all go through it. There are times when you gotta kind of put the video games down and focus on something else. And that's kind of what this was for you. And I totally understand. And it wouldn't have been too bad of a problem if we had to figure something else out. But because the way that we do things, we kind of have a schedule laid out, and if something gets jumbled like this, we kind of have to rearrange the schedule, and it's so like beautifully laid out right now that I didn't want to have to screw it up, but I would have if you couldn't have finished it. It is what it is, but
we did it.
We did, yeah.
We did it today.
That's the biggest part, is that we did finish it, so sweet.
Yay!
So, this game is developed by Game Freak. It's a Nintendo, obviously it's Pokemon. It's Pokemon.
You should know by now.
It was originally released for the DS, in September of 2006 in Japan, and then April the following year in North America, and then everyone else got it in June and July later on that same year. So between 2006 and 2007, everybody kind of had it.
This was my first game, like, as a kid, that I actually pre-ordered by myself.
So this was like your official like video
first game. Yeah, I think
like
so.
your first game ever that you purchased?
Yes, I think so.
Gotcha,
I think I purchased it with my birthday money.
Nice.
Like pre-order. I think it was a pre-order, but yes.
So my story behind my history of this game, okay, so I have always been a Pokemon fan. I originally started with Red and Blue, and I've always had all the games up to Diamond and Pearl. But when Diamond and Pearl came out, I don't really know why, but I never bought it. I didn't get a DS right away. I think it's because I was dating my wife at the time, or she wasn't my wife then, but I was dating my soon-to-be wife at the time, and I think I was just so focused on that relationship and building that video game took a back seat. And then later on, when I don't know, I guess maybe when Animal Crossing started coming out on the DS, then me and her bought a DS together, and then we started playing games from there on. And I mean, obviously my collection's grown quite a bit since then, and we're all gamers now. But for whatever reason, I missed the Diamond and Pearl generation. I just did. So I never played it.
Have you played all the others now?
I have played all of the other generations, at least
like
one.
The main series.
Yeah, the main series. Yeah, the main series. So I played all of them since, but for whatever reason, I just missed this generation. I've even had them for quite a while, but I just never have played them. So it was nice for me to get this new experience of an old game. And with it being Pokemon, I was excited going into this game, and then
it was my fault. I hyped it up.
Wasn't so exciting going out of the game, but we're getting there. So let's talk about the story about as best as we can.
Well, there's not much of a story.
I know. I know.
So your like region is called Sinnoh in this one, as opposed to like the Kanto and the Johto. So you're at Sinnoh. Your game starts off pretty basic. You are a young kid. I don't know, like 12.
10, 12, something like that, yeah.
And you you start off by like watching this TV show about the Red Gyarados. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, and I assume that they were playing off of the
previous game or 2 games, I guess.
Yeah, they were playing off of the Gold and Silver, because in Gold and Silver there's this Red Gyarados in the lake, and then your character goes and catches that Red Gyarados. So the news in this game is actually saying the Red Gyarados is magically vanished, and people are curious about that. Of course, as previous players, we knew. Well, yeah, because I have it in my box, my Pokemon box.
So I think with that, like your character and technically your rival / friend, I think his name's Barry. You get the chance to rename him though. Did you rename yours?
Fred.
You named him Fred?
Yeah.
I named mine Vizio.
Nice.
You guys end up going to the lake that's nearby town. You have no Pokemon on you by this point. And you come across this professor and his assistant, which, depending on if you played as a boy or a girl, his assistant will be the opposite of what you've chosen.
Yeah, so because I was a boy, his assistant was Dawn.
Yes, and mine was, I think Lucas was his name. I should remember that, but I don't.
I like the way that you still get to see all the characters, but like if you chose the boy, you have, I don't know. Yeah. I thought that it was a neat way to go about that.
It was nice to have, to be able to see the other character, especially if you're confused and if you wanted to play, because some people like playing as the opposite gender for whatever reason. Anyway, the professor actually leaves with his assistant, but he leaves behind a briefcase. So you and your friend decide to return it to him, and this professor is now all of a sudden attacked by a Starly. And you go open the briefcase, and that's when you actually decide to choose your first starter Pokemon. You battle the Starly, and then that's it. You save Professor Rowan, I guess.
And he lets you. I think he's like weary about why you used his Pokemon, and then he ultimately kind of just gives it to you, I guess. He kind of
acknowledges that you've got this, like, affinity for Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah, from my point of view, the professor seems like a nobody. Like, he just kind of seems like this guy who's wandering around, and he's like, he seems reluctant to give you a Pokemon. He just kind of seems irritated. I don't know.
I think what they were trying to go for was that he was more, like, stoic and quiet and, like, one of those kind of characters, but it does kind of come across like he's super judging you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it.
But he ends up actually asking you and his assistant to go out with his Pokédex and to, as the last few games have been, build up your Pokédex, basically. And then for the most part, that's it. You go on to get some gym badges. You, at some point, come across Team Galactic, which at the time is, like, that they exist, but there's no, like, threat to them, because like you see them around town. They're
just kind of like skulking around.
Yeah,
they're not necessarily any threat to anyone necessarily.
You have this like
until a little bit later
you get this like quick run-in with them. They're like trying to stop the professor and stuff, but it was so minute that I forgot about it.
And most of the time that you run into them, they're really just blocking your path. They're not like being aggressive or being thieves or anything. They're just kind of there.
It's not until you get to a wind farm that they've taken over that they're kind of a problem. You got to clean out the wind farms to restore
peace within the
pretty
town.
much.
Yeah.
It's even then it's like not that big of a deal, which is weird. I don't know. The Team Galactic to me was very strange. In any case, you go about collecting your badges close to, like, I think before your very last badge.
Yeah, like between badge 6
and 7.
6 and 7, 7 and 8, somewhere in there.
You're kind of pointed off towards one of the lakes. There's 3 major lakes in this region, surrounded by Mount Coronet. And you go to one of the lakes, and it turns out that Team Galactic is trying to capture these 3 mythical Pokemon over these lakes. Uxie, Azelf, and Mesprit. I'm probably butchering those.
I mean, the best you can. It's Pokemon.
One of the lakes, they actually blow up. There's like Magikarp everywhere, which was sad.
It was really sad. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And you run into like a few of the higher grunts like at the wind farm, but like here you encounter a few more. You have to help Professor Rowan at one point, and then your friend goes to another lake to help the other lake, and you go to another.
Yeah, like, you really find out from the grunts who are there that they are trying to capture these legendary Pokemon, but even the grunts don't really know why. They're just like, we're here for some reason.
Right.
And it's really weird, and it kind of seems out of place. It seems, I don't know, it seems bizarre.
As you visit these lakes, you're kind of pointed towards the Galactic HQ. One of the grunts like drops a key card.
Yeah, and you kind of go in through like a back way, and then you get the master key card to go in the front door, and then you fight Team Galactic all the way through the headquarters.
The headquarters, there's really no like story like going through it. It's just a quick run through.
There's no real information other than it seems like Team Galactic is aiming to get to the moon or something.
No.
Or like
you get to the end and you find where they are keeping the spirit. I call them spirits because I think that's what they call them. In any case, you find the 3 Pokemon that they've captured, and it turns out that what they're trying to do is these 3 Pokemon hold these crystals. And when you combine these 3 crystals, it makes up what's called the red chain, which is supposed to control either, depending on your game, control either Dialga or Palkia.
And each of those Pokemon control different aspects of the universe. Like Dialga was
time.
Dialga. Yeah, he was the time Pokemon. I don't know what was yours.
I think it was space.
Okay, well, no, that makes sense.
You actually run into Cyrus, which is apparently the lead of Team Galactic. Did not get that.
Really?
I kind of did, but like they glossed over it. He looked like everyone else to me, except for the fact that his hair was...
He did look like everyone else, but I felt like that he made it very clear that he was the lead.
Well, it turns out, according to him, he makes it sound like he's doing it because he wants to wipe out everyone and everything. But at the same... He wants to control Dialga/Palkia to become almost like a god himself, which makes no sense if you have no people or Pokemon to rule over. But he makes it very clear that that's what he's after. He actually obtains this item. After you defeat him, you actually are able to release the Pokemon that they have captured up until this point. So he leaves, and you decide to kind of follow him up to through Mount Coronet, which is in the middle of this whole region. And you make it through to the very top after...
How many hundreds of Zubats?
Yes. And not only that, but like, there's like a different entrance. Like, I felt like the pointing the direction was just crazy.
The entire mountain was kind of like that. Like, if you don't go the right way through there, you kind of get lost. But I feel like there's a couple people in that area, if I remember correctly, that they were like, "Nah, you're in the wrong spot. You need to go somewhere else." So once you are pointed into the right direction, then it's not terrible. But yeah, the mountain's huge. Like, the mountain is pretty much taking over the entire center of the map. So you're constantly like going through the mountain to get from one side to the other. This point in the story, you're actually traveling through the entirety of the mountain peak, getting to the peak.
So yeah, you end up fighting kind of grunts along the way, which is kind of how I figured I was going the right way.
Yeah,
like you would find grunts.
Yeah, once you started seeing the grunts, and it's like, oh right, I'm doing it right now.
You make it to the top finally to the, I think they called it the Sacred Pillar, the Spear Pillar, where apparently they've decided to summon Dialga or Palkia, depending on your game, and you encounter both Galactic Jupiter and I forget the other one.
I don't know.
You fight one of the top, they weren't grunts, but they were
they were like the leader or the
other like leads.
I don't know.
A manager.
Yeah, captains. I don't know.
So yeah, you end up fighting 2 of them that you fought previously, and you actually team up with your friend or rival at that point. You beat them, and then you've got to fight Cyrus for a second time. His Pokemon are stronger and evolved and all that. You defeat Cyrus, and the chain that he used, because he summons Palkia or Dialga, and that chain breaks, and it he kind of is like, well, I'll just have to capture the spirits all over again. He runs off, I think. I think that's what he does. And then you have the option to encounter your legendary. Like, they act like that they're trying to test you. And then you end up capturing said Pokemon.
If you want to. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure that you have an option to not capture him, but either way, at the end, it's like, well...
You either face him or not, and in any case, after you've faced your Pokemon, you pretty much just go about collecting your last badge to beat the Elite Four, and that's it. End of the game.
That's
it.
Exactly right.
It's pretty bad when I can tell the story.
Not really. I mean, you do a pretty good job.
The thing about this, they have after game stuff. Like, you can go capture the 3 Pokemon spirits that you have
set free. Whatever.
Yeah. I think there's some more story with, like, because you encounter a few trainers along the way, like Cynthia, who is part of the Elite Four, I guess.
Well, and the mine that we were in earlier, the
Iron Islands, yes.
And there's a small Team Galactic story going on in there too. But I mean, really,
this game story.
Let's for a second, I just want to say that our goal in the podcast is to play a game from beginning to, in air quotes, end. And to us, the end is, if you get the credits, you're done. Yes, there's post-game stuff. Yes, we did not 100% these games. There's a lot more to be explored, but from beginning to end credits, there is not much story to this. It kind of feels like, to me, they took Pokemon's concept, stripped it of all story, threw it into a new region, and then forced story back into it.
Yeah.
Like, you and your rival, there's nothing there. There's no story there. You and the professor, like, nothing there.
I think for you, it was Don, had more story just by he was an assistant.
Yeah.
Like, even your friend, they don't really act like
you
friends.
Challenge them maybe once or twice or something like that.
A few times in, but
it's not much.
And even, like, there's this little bit of, I'm not strong enough kind of thing, but, like, there is no character development really for anyone at all, yeah. Period.
And even with that, you're just kind of there. Like, this game doesn't do a very good job of making you feel like a champion. It just makes it feel like, oh, you just happen to be here. Why don't you... Like when the lakes happened, the lake situation, you get this earthquake, right? And the professor's like, hey, you should go to this lake and go check it out. And so from that point of view, it just kind of feels like, well, we're all here. I guess we'll go check it out. You know, it doesn't make you feel like you're this great champion. Right. It doesn't make you feel like you're at all superior to anyone else, which is in some ways a good thing. But I mean, when you're talking about this epic adventure that is Pokemon, you kind of need to have that sense of,
not only that,
I'm the very best, you know?
Not only that, this is the 4th installation for Pokemon so far. You would think that, like, they tried to up their game, like, graphics-wise and, like, all the different functions. You would think that story would make it a little more...
And, like, okay, so Cynthia was in this, who is your, your challenger or whatever, the current champion.
Yeah.
And, as per usual... The champion is kind of wandering around and aiding you in little things when it comes to the region's evil team. And you just kind of get errand quests for her. Like, she's like, oh, hey, here,
bring this to my grandma.
Yeah, like...
I'm too busy to visit grandma.
Like, seriously.
Like, you had no idea who this... You'll know her when you see her. She's old.
Yeah, like... And even with Cynthia, like, you don't really know who she is or what she's doing. Like, her design is awesome. Cool. But, I mean, other than that, you don't know who she is. You don't know what's going on. You're just like, here's a fetch quest for you. Oh, okay. All right, I guess.
You know, I don't remember the after game, like, plots and stuff, but, like, I feel like if there's any development after the game, it should have been included with the main game.
Yeah.
Like, make me interested.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, the first game sets the stage for the rest of the games. This is just what you do in Pokemon games. You beat the Elite Four, there's some kind of evil team or whatever. The story just met basic requirements. It did just met standard, and that was it.
Right.
Was not blown away with the Team Galactic was stupid. I hated them.
They were really dumb, like beyond the normal Team Rocket stupidness. They were just like they seem pointless. They didn't really seem all that threatening. I wasn't at any point like, oh no, the world might end. It was just like even when they were collecting the legendary Pokemon, like, we don't know why we're here. Like,
right.
Why?
Yeah.
So what's the point? Like, it seems stupid. It seems really dumb. The biggest story in this game is that every single town that you go to that has a gym leader, the gym leader's like missing and you gotta go find him.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Oh, all right. And then you find the gym leader and they're like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I'll meet you at the gym. And then you go back to the gym and the end.
Like, thanks.
Yeah.
Just what I love. Why aren't you doing your job?
It's just very sad. So what did you give it for story?
I gave it a 4.
I give it a 5.
I feel like the story progression somehow made the game even slower and
the game is already really slow, and we'll get into that.
Galactic seemed like they weren't much of a threat at the beginning, or really much at all. Like, you have no idea.
Well, and so, aside from them being boring as a whole, the entire story of Pokemon is basically you going from town to town getting badges until you get to badge like 6 or 7, and then you finally get some story.
It's ridiculous.
And even before that, you get little tidbits of, well, we should go into the storage unit to get the Pokedex back, but like even that was...
I don't even think you go inside, do you?
No, you just go in there and you fight like one grunt and then you're done. Yeah, so, like, really, there's very, very, very little story going on here. I mean, for the people who are upset at Sword and Shield games, replay Diamond and Pearl, because, hello, there's, like, nothing going on in Diamond and Pearl. I don't know why. I mean, I understand this game. It has other areas that are better than just story, absolutely. But, like, from a story point of view, wah wah.
Yeah.
Like, I was not interested whatsoever. So let's go ahead and move on.
Graphics?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I gave it a 5. I almost gave it a 6, but it bothered me to no end that all I fought were Bidoofs, Starlies, and Bidoos, and Geodudes.
I agree. I put that complaint under gameplay, but...
Well...
I understand where you're going with that. Yeah.
When I would fight trainers, all I fought in a row were 3 Bidoofs. Bidoof, Bidoof, Bidoof. The next trainer, Bidoof, Bidoof, and...
Maybe a Bidoo.
A Daryl.
Yeah, a Daryl. Freaking Daryl.
We can never remember his name because we always call him Daryl.
Well, because I think his name is like Bill Barrel
or something like that.
Yeah. So I always called him Daryl because his name, like at a glance, all I see is Daryl. So I've always called him Daryl.
So, and you know what? Honestly, I can understand if, like, let's say I fought a Shinx, a Letleo, and a Luxray. That I can understand. I was fighting back-to-back Bidoofs, back-to-back Magikarps, back-to-back Bidoos, back-to-back... It was like there was no effort. It was like, yeah, just make all 3 of them the same Pokemon. Yeah. Like, seriously?
So, again, I put those complaints under gameplay because that is battle system, to me. But, I mean, you can put it wherever you want.
Hand in hand.
It is. You're absolutely right. So, from my point of view, I think the Pokemon animations looked really good. Like, if you look back to back from like Emerald or, you know, that generation, Gen 3 stuff, you can see the progression from Game Boy Advance to the DS. Like, it really is a better experience graphically. like the Pokemon look really good, the sprites look really good. There's a lot of really interesting animations as far as how the bike moves and how you interact with the world, like the reflections, and I don't know.
Well, I did say that I liked like the I don't think you messed with the Pokemon seals, and I didn't either, but I remember them.
Yeah, I didn't.
You get the option to put like stickers on your Pokeballs, like seals, I guess. And so when you throw them out into battle, whatever seals you put on, there's like this cool animation effect.
Oh, that's neat.
It is really cool.
Huh.
I didn't do it, of course, but it is an option, and I remember it being really cool. They have different images for like the puffins and all the items.
Sure, yeah.
The contests, if you like that kind of stuff, I know you hate that stuff.
I hated the contest. I thought it was so ridiculous.
I didn't like doing it this round either. For some reason, I remember having a fun time doing that stuff.
It's really just mini games, and I understand that they wanted to take full advantage of the touchscreen and try and do stuff that was more touchscreen related, but I just thought it was stupid. I thought it was pointless, and they force you to do it once. And I think it's just like, hey, we have this feature, try it, to get you to want to do it more. But like, I did it, I'm like, this is dumb, and then I stopped and I never did it again.
One of my complaints was I liked the mini game of you get to go underground to like
I
dig.
loved that. Yeah.
That was cool, and it was cool seeing like they did a really good job on like the fossils, like the way they looked and some of those items. The other items were meh.
Well,
however,
go ahead.
The actual underground, boring, plain Jane, and you would get like little sparkles on your top screen where you could like dig. I could never get it lined up right. I hated it.
I didn't even know those sparkles were there.
Really?
Until you gotta do something to like turn them on or whatever, but yeah, it took some time to figure that out.
They have like traps and stuff set up, and some of this is kind of gameplay, but like they really wanted you at this point to be playing with friends, but it would alert your friends like if you needed something, if you accidentally hit like a trap by accident. I just thought that was so stupid. And the cool function was to be able to blow leaves away and fire and stuff, but like I felt like that kind of looked bad. I don't know, but the whole underground, boring.
Really?
Like,
as
far as graphics is concerned, the whole entire underground was boring.
Agreed. It is just hallways.
It really,
like literally just hallways.
Yes. It was sad.
I really liked how the items were like. The underground had a few items, like you could dig for stones and you could dig for fossils and gems and stuff. But like as a whole, if you were to look through your inventory, every single item had a
little picture,
an icon, and all of them were different.
Yeah.
And that I really appreciate it. I understand that this isn't a unique feature to Pokemon, but I just appreciate that every time I see it. Like, it's so nice to see these.
I think they were well done.
Yeah,
Some
they
of them
really
were
were
really cool. Like, I would be like, oh, I kind of want that in real life.
And they've kept with the same,
like the cleanse tag from like
they all kind of look the same from generation to generation. They just look a little better from generation to generation. But just the fact that they all have a picture to them is really nice. It's neat. It's a neat little feature that they didn't need to add, but they did. The battle animations, I talked about the Pokemon animations earlier. They're really good. The battle animations are also really good, and a lot of them are really, really cool. Unfortunately, I had to turn them off because the gameplay.
Yeah.
I had to turn them off. I couldn't handle it.
I appreciated the graphic difference between Ruby and Sapphire to this game. And like, I think it's unfair to grade it like comparing to its previous. Like, it's gotten better, thankfully. But where I was blown away, it was just kind of like minute details here and there.
Yeah, and I think that's where it was for me. Like, it was small details, but I never really felt like
this is amazing.
No, I didn't feel like it was terrible either. Like, I didn't have any moment. Like, everything else was kind of like so want that the graphics stood out as one of the only good things.
My favorite thing was that your character, the boy, looked like he was carrying a hot dog backpack.
Yes, you brought that up while I was streaming, and my mind was blown. You're
like
absolutely right. It does.
like
it looks like a freaking
hot dog.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
So yeah, I gave it a 5.
Yeah, I give it a 9. It is what it is. I get it. Gameplay. I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6.
It's Pokemon, right? So the gameplay, because it is, if you were to take all of the unique things from Pokemon games, and it was still a Pokemon game, like you still go from town to town, catching Pokemon, fighting trainers, fighting gym leaders, getting badges, all that is there. And from that point of view, it's a great game. Because Pokemon as a base game is a great game. There are flaws, obviously, with this one. First off, your character moves insanely slow. Until you get the bike, and then you move way too fast.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid you need to surf, because surfing
it's so
is like...
bad.
I feel like... Have you ever been in a car before and the car is going
like
so slow and you feel like you could get out and walk faster than the car is moving? That's how I felt in this game when I was trying to surf. Like, just...
Let me walk on the water.
I feel like my character could swim faster than this Pokemon is moving. Like, it was just terrible. The battles are insanely slow. They're so slow. The battle animations are great, but they take a long time to perform. But on top of that, it's like, I don't even know. I don't even know what the deal is. I feel like just everything just takes
slow
forever.
My biggest complaint, I know that it's just part of the game, level grinding, fighting trainers. It felt like way too much.
Yeah, it did.
So, and especially when you're fighting Bidoofs back
over
to back,
and over and over,
3 or 4 of them per person you're battling,
and every area between towns had like 6 dozen trainers that you had to fight.
Yes, I agree.
And they all had the same Pokemon. And then you start going into the grassy areas to like try and catch Pokemon, and each route between towns only had like maybe 5 Pokemon. And of those 5 Pokemon, only 2 are unique to that area. So like you get Bidoof from the beginning. You get Bidoof, Starly, Bidoo, and I don't know, somebody else. And then the next area, you have Bidoofs and Bidoos and Starlies and maybe an Abra. You know, like you're not progressing. It's so...
I forgot to bring this up because this kind of went with graphics. I don't know how many new Pokemon are to Sinnoh. However, it's not many. There's no way it's that many. And there's not that many from previous games. So there is such a small variety of Pokemon that you get bored. And the ones that you do see, by the time you finally start seeing new interesting Pokemon, I was already done.
Yeah.
I wasn't catching Pokemon. You get to go into this like swamp. It's like the Safari Zone, but it's like a swamp.
I hated it.
I went in to get the HM defog, and I left.
Go in there. Yeah. Yep.
I paid $500.
Well, look at it this way. You're already walking super slow, and then they add the swamp mechanic in there, and you're going extremely slow, and then you get stuck, and you got to do this like twirl dance thing to get out.
Not to mention,
like, why are we doing this?
Same thing, but in the snow, even slower.
Yeah, I know.
It was terrible.
It was so bad.
Then you have all of your encounter rates because you have this long stretch between,
and it's all the same stupid Pokemon.
All the same Pokemon. You have a long stretch of distance. You're fighting random Pokemon. You're fighting all these billions of trainers. By the time I got to my 4th gym badge, I was like, I'm done. This is dumb.
I felt the same way.
I bought a whole bunch of repels and I plowed through the rest of the game.
But then if you do it that way, it bites you in the butt because then you're under leveled.
This game,
so like you have to go back and level grind.
Exactly. I don't want to say that this game is hard because it's not if you play it correctly.
Yeah.
However, it requires you to freaking level grind.
It's not, the level grinding isn't terrible if you're actively seeking out every single trainer, but because the trainers take forever and the trainers don't have any interesting Pokemon, I don't feel like I wasn't getting anything fun out of it. Like, it was just the same Gook over and over and over, the same Pokemon over and over and over again. I feel like
they got away with reusing a lot of Pokemon and gyms because of the Pokemon that, like, the fighting Pokemon had the different kinds of punch moves.
Yeah,
so you got fire punch, ice punch, and thunder punch.
Your fire gym and your water gym and your, they all have the same Pokemon because they have these, like, different elemental attacks.
It felt, you know what, and I don't want to, I realize we're just based on my current playthrough. I remember when I was a kid playing this game thinking, there's not that many Pokemon in this game. And that makes, there's a lot of, I love Shanks. Shanks is one of my favorite Pokemon.
And Shanks is really cool. I had a Shanks in my playthrough.
But it's just,
that was like one of the only
Pokemon after playing Pokemon Go, we've talked about this, like, you like Pokemon. We've turned around and liked Pokemon after playing Pokemon Go. Badoo was one of my favorites, and we've made such a joke out of Bidoof.
I know.
So I added an F at the end of his name, so I kept running around saying, my Bidoof is low
but it
on
was
HP.
Badoo with an F. Yeah.
And I kept he was one of my final Pokemon, like my teams, and he did me good for a long time.
Nice.
So, are we in gameplay? We're still graphics?
we're in gameplay.
I want to say it's nice for the mini games. I think that was their big function, like their big highlight. The different extras and mini games. So
I loved the underground mini game.
The underground mini game was cool. Making the Poffins was fun one time, and that was it.
I don't think I did that.
You had to mix your Poffins to make, you mix berries to make Poffins. Mm-hmm. That was okay the first time. It kind of felt like Cooking Mama, but boring.
And this game had a new mechanic, didn't they? Where the happiness was a factor. So you had to keep your Pokemon happy in order for them to for some of them to evolve. Like Chansey evolves with happiness, for example. And so there's a handful of Pokemon that you have to do things with to make them happy, and so that they evolve. Well, because you don't have to do this mechanic, some of the mini games are kind of pointless. Right. So I think that was my problem. If it wasn't necessary to the game, I didn't do it.
I will say, though, I remember, again, I hate to keep doing this. I enjoy doing that when I first played. I didn't like it this time.
As a kid, when you first played it.
As a kid, I liked it. It was kind of cool, the contests, being able to dress your Pokemon up, and, the contests had mini games, and your move sets, on the flip side, some of your, rock moves were considered tough moves. Yeah. And some of them with cute moves and all that stuff. If you liked that stuff, it was great. Found it so boring, though, in this game.
Yeah.
But then there's also, the seals, like I mentioned. That was kind of a cool new aspect. And, the berries, you could actually see the different kinds of trees, which I realize that's part of graphics, but...
No, it's a nice
the
different...
doing of the berries was kind of a thing.
It's not just a generic tree with different colored berries on it. It was an actual different bush that you could... farm berries from. And they did have a little berry farm where you could, grow specific types.
I have listed on my notes down here is just lots of battles, sad face with angry irritation marks, and underlined as long and slow game.
A couple of my things, there's no fire Pokemon in this game. There's Ponyta, and then there's your starter monkey Pokemon, Monferno, or
yeah.
I don't
Chimchar.
know. Chimchar, yeah. You feel gypped. And it's not like they didn't have the opportunity to. It's anytime that there's grass areas, you can absolutely put a fire Pokemon in there. You don't have to litter it with fire Pokemon, but I just don't understand why they didn't put any. Now, there is a possibility, we know, and I found this out from experience, there's a handful of Pokemon that can be found post-game, where you use the Poke Radar to try and look for certain Pokemon, and it's very likely and possible that a lot of Pokemon can be found after the game where you use the Poke Radar, but that's lame.
Absolutely.
When you're going from spot, town to town, and you're running into the same Pokemon over and over and over again, and then their evolution over and over and over again. Freaking Geodude and his evolution is everywhere. And Onyx is everywhere, and freaking Gold, because you're going through the cave over and over again, going back and forth. It's the same like rock Pokemon over and over.
I can't tell you how many Golbats I fought.
So many, and it's like, come on, guys, change it up, do something different.
You wanting, and like I said, there would be one time where you would actually encounter something different, but by then you were like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I've got my set team. I'm just focused on beating the game.
Yeah. I still made an effort to catch the new Pokemon that I encountered. I wasn't going out of my way to hunt for specific Pokemon, but if I encountered a new one, I made an effort to catch it. And that's where the quick balls usually come into play. However, I felt like the quick balls were broken in this game. I was throwing a quick ball like I do in every single Pokemon game that have quick balls, and the ball just like catches really fast. Typically, this one was like not very good. And when your quick balls are so much more expensive, like why? I felt like it was the same odds as throwing a great ball, where usually the quick ball has the best odds in the whole game, aside from the master ball, obviously. But, it's better. It's supposed to be better than most of the other ones. But in this game, it just was lame. Like the rest of the game, it was just kind of lame.
What did you think about the watch?
I thought it was cool, actually. It was really nice to, again, this is the first time that they had that bottom screen to play with. And it was nice from my point of view because I was streaming. So for people watching the stream, they were able to see which Pokemon I had in my party without having to ask me. Or without having me to add, like, pictures or something in the stream itself, where I could just have that bottom screen there. If people wanted to know, it was there, it was available. It was kind of nice for me to be able to see their health status. They had a whole bunch of different like pieces to it that you could, essentially apps that you could add. They had like the watch, they had because it was a watch. They had the calculator, they had the where you could see the Pokemon,
the dowsing machine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played anything after you said.
Not at all.
You actually get the Poke Radar in this game, which is to help shiny hunt, which was nice addition for people who wanted shinies.
Sure.
I appreciated that.
Well, and the only way to get a handful of Pokemon.
Yeah, seriously.
Lame. So, okay, I want to tell the story.
Okay.
When I first started playing Diamond, I found Abra. And typically my team usually consists of my starter and then like a good psychic Pokemon. And it's almost always Abra. Well, not Abra. It's Kadabra or Alakazam. But in any case, I thought this time around, I want to play with Ralts. Because Ralts is an interesting Pokemon, and I don't typically use anyone else other than Abra. So I looked it up. We looked it up, you and me both, because you were in the stream with me, and we looked up if Ralts was in the game. And yes, Ralts is in the game. So I went to that route, and I was hunting for a Ralts. I spent, I want to say,
3 hours?
6 hours.
Oh, really?
Because it wasn't just that one stream. I hunted the next day, too, for a long time looking for this Pokemon. Maybe 4. Maybe not 6. Maybe more like 4. But in any case,
6.
It was a long time looking for a freaking Ralts. And then, eventually, I don't know if it was DB or who it was that was in the stream with me, but somebody had said, well, you can only get it with the Poke Radar. And I'm like...
What am I doing? I didn't know. I'm sorry.
I'm not blaming you. It's a simple mistake. I mean, when you look it up, it doesn't say only found with Poke Radar. It just tells you what route it's in.
From a gameplay stance, though, that's crappy.
Again, going back to there's such a limit of Pokemon available that had they not had this Poke Radar thing, a thing, we would have had a lot more Pokemon to play with. Yeah. And when you're playing it through just your base game, I want as many Pokemon options as possible, not just
it
like...
It would have been even better if they
few.
had slapped it in the middle of the game, at least.
Agreed, yeah. And then you could backtrack and be like, oh, this is a cool feature. Let's backtrack and look for more Pokemon.
Because, honestly, by the time I got done with the main story for, 1 hour's worth, I was done. I didn't have no interest in doing after-game stuff. I wanted this game to be done. The last thing I wanted to do was go get my Poke Radar so I could go find these 2 Pokemon that I had to find with the radar.
Yeah.
That I couldn't even... That at that point was pointless. I had already beat the Elite Four.
So yeah, I gave it a 7.
I gave it a
Gameplay.
6.
Yeah. It could have been better for sure, but it's still a Pokemon game, and from that perspective, it's still fun. But I feel like it's fun as a default. So, music, I gave it a 10.
Really?
I did, yeah.
What is wrong with you? Wait, let me say something.
Okay, go ahead.
I acknowledge that sometimes I just am not conscious of the music.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the battle music. It did not
how
bother
could you not?
It did not bother me like it bothered you.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. It was repetitive sometimes. However, it got to a certain point in my game that I was so focused on beating it that I kind of didn't take into consideration that I would have to rate the music.
Yeah.
So I played it on mute 90%
Most
of the time.
Yeah.
That said, I remember a little bit of music. Not that it was bad, not that when it needed to be epic, it wasn't epic. It's just my mind was not blown whatsoever.
Okay.
And I liked some of the Pokemon sounds. The contest stuff had its own musical thing that was pretty cool. That said, I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to give it a low score because it didn't deserve anything less than half of what we could rated
points,
it.
Yeah.
But I guess, unfortunately, I guess it's not fair for me to rate it, but if I had to, it's the music was not its saving point for this game.
I guess where I'm coming from, I mean, obviously I listened to the music all the way through. I felt like every town I went to, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a cool song. Mm-hmm. And probably the worst part about the music in this game was that the trainer battles had one section that looped way too many times in a row, and that bugged me. But it wasn't like the song as a whole was bad. It was just like that one small section was looped too many times. But I mean, overall, every single town that I went to had really good music. I only remember maybe one town song that was doubled, where they used it in 2 towns. Yeah, it was that slow guitar type twang sound. I noticed it. Oh yeah, because you didn't have. But yeah, I noticed it in two different towns. But I mean, otherwise, the Pokemon always sound really good, and I love that they always keep the traditional Pokemon sounds from the original games, and then the new Pokemon have updated sound
to try and be as close to the original.
Well, no, I think that the original Pokemon keep their original growl. Mm-hmm. And then the new Pokemon have new growls that are more updated to the new game. And I like that they've kept that. For example, Weedle still has his sound. Yeah. So I mean, from that perspective, I like it's typical for a Pokemon game, but there wasn't anything, not a single thing aside from that loop that was in the trainer battles that I felt like was bad. It was all really, really good. The fight with the Team Galactic leader was really epic. It had an epic soundtrack for that. The Elite Four sounded really good. Cynthia's theme, Cynthia's battle music was okay. It wasn't quite as epic as I typically want that champion battle to be like the best, and it's not. It wasn't amazing, but I mean, it still was good. I mean, it was really good. So I didn't see any flaws. I gave it a 10 out of 10 because I felt like it needed something somewhere. But you know, I guess. So if you want to move on.
Yeah.
Overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Oh my gosh. I gave it a 4.
Oh no! Oh my gosh. I mean, it's fine. I mean, because our scores, we total them up. This is how it goes.
I partially, it's probably my fault because I have not been in the greatest place playing this game because I was really just kind of disgusted with, I just wanted it done.
Yeah. And you had a lot of other stuff going on too, personally.
I want to say this game was not terrible. It has its good qualities. I feel like this could go either way. It was either a good game or a bad game, depending on how you looked at it. I would not recommend this for anyone for their first Pokemon game.
No.
Absolutely not. I think that, definitely not if you're looking for a good story. I think that if you enjoy Pokemon battles, because we had a few kids that we knew that would just wanted to do Pokemon battles. That was their thing.
I think that might have been the highlight for this game, is for the people who were competitive battlers.
Yes.
This was probably the peak. Because there are so many interesting dynamics going on in the battle side of things that I don't care about. I'm a Pokemon collector. I want to go out and I want to shiny hunt and I want to catch them all. That's what I do. That's what I like about Pokemon games. And this game just beat me down when it came to the Pokemon side of things, and I that made me so sad.
Well, that's the point of the game.
I know.
That's
catch them
all.
Basic
stuff.
Build your Pokedex. Like, that's your number one goal, is to build your Pokedex.
You know, I think Pokemon, for us particularly, and a lot of people, I'm sure, Pokemon was part of their childhood, and as a kid, I liked the contest stuff and the, like, extra stuff, but, like, to just play this game as a game, I felt beat down, I was tired, and I really didn't want... I was excited to play this game. Like, I was really excited.
I was too, yeah.
I had good hopes for it, and I did not remember this game like I did from my childhood. Was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I mean... it's still a Pokemon game at its core, right? So, I mean, that alone I had a fun time with. And I've said that, I know, multiple times. But because it is boring and really, it gets boring really fast, you know, they don't introduce a whole lot of more Pokemon from area to area. You're just sad. Doing the same, like, oh, you gotta find the gym leader and bring him back to the gym. It's just, it's stupid. Like, it just is not as good as I was hoping it to be. And I mean, I gave it an 8 because it's still a Pokemon game and I still had fun doing the Pokemon thing and hanging out with other Pokemon fans along the way, which is part of the experience. But, you know, I don't care about the battle system. Like, I don't care about being a competitive battler. So, like, I just didn't enjoy that aspect of it. And I felt like this game was geared a lot towards that battle aspect. And so I felt gypped. Like, I just didn't enjoy it as much as I agree. Have multiple other ones.
You did not like the contest stuff. I think at the time that was a big thing.
Sure, and I think that, like, a lot of...
the puffin thing, like, there was a
whole
thing
lot of other
it.
Things too that we can't take advantage of anymore because the online network is down. So, like, things like the global trading center, you can't use that anymore. You know, it wasn't there like there
was like group, like
the Underground had some sort of multiplayer to it too, and you can't use that. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't know what to say. Like, the game wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily fun.
It wasn't fun. It was a chore. Yeah. Like, to me, battling and leveling up, like, that's part of the process. normal Pokemon stuff. It just was too much. It was
too
filler.
grindy. Yeah, it was.
There was no
very
story,
grindy
so
in
they
this
just filled it in with a whole bunch of crap.
one. A whole bunch of Pokemon trainers.
Victory on the way to Victory Road, I bypassed all of the trainers because I had level grinded at Iron Island.
Right, yeah.
And just blasted my way through. I was done. I hated it. I hated the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I would have given it a 5 out of 10, like middle ground, wasn't bad, wasn't good. But because it's like one of the last games I would recommend anyone to play if they were just starting Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It just...
Yeah.
There's so many other games that...
I had high hopes for this game. I really did.
And I did too, because so many people were disappointed with Sword and Shield. We weren't necessarily disappointed with it, but so many people were. So for me to go back and have a brand new Pokemon adventure experience with an old game, I was so excited for this. And that was why, like, podcast history, Zap Night, we have played Pokemon Red and Blue. We've played and reviewed that. And we've played Sword and Shield. We played and reviewed that. And so this is like right in the middle of those two, like the very first and the very most recent. And I was expecting this to be great because so many people have great things to say about the older games. And coming into it and it just being kind of a blah game, I just was expecting more.
It raises kind of a point I kind of touched on earlier. As a kid, this was a good game to me. Me now, several years later, well, was released in
06.
06.
07, yeah.
So it's been several years now. Like, I wasn't impressed. So like, I think either for its time, it was great at the time, or for kids, this is great. I don't know what the difference is necessarily.
It's hard telling. I mean, I think at the time there was probably a lot of hype behind it, and so people were excited for the new generation of Pokemon. And I mean, I felt that way with X and Y, where, you know, I was so excited for this next generation of Pokemon because, you know, the formula was being changed around, right, and we're getting this new like 3D look at everything, and I was so excited for that. And I feel like maybe there was a bigger hype with Diamond and Pearl for that similar reasons, where things are, you know, it's on the newest hardware, everything's getting revamped, and it's going to look great, and everything's going to be animated, and then you get it, and it's like, well, yeah, it looks really good, but you know, maybe some of the downfalls kind of get swept under the rug, especially if you're a kid not really paying attention to the story.
I want to say, too, I don't have any factual things to bring this up.
Yeah.
I want to say this was, like, the pinnacle point for Mystery Gift.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
going to stores and getting all that stuff. Because, like, you need... I don't remember for sure, but I think you need something to get Deoxys.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you can do it now in this game.
You probably can't.
Maybe.
I mean, not without hacking it. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the coolest thing about this generation, that Diamond and Pearl. You could take your handheld system into a store and use its internal Wi-Fi to collect mystery gifts, or use your Wi-Fi at home to get a mystery gift off the internet. And that was a unique experience at the time. And I'm sure that there was a lot of hype behind that. And that was a really cool feature to have. Now, you know, they don't do that quite as much.
Once to a Toys R Us.
I did, yeah. Up in it was a while ago. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was cool. Like, that was a really neat concept. And, you know, they do it differently now. Thankfully. But I mean, you know, it really was a cool idea. But, you know, here now playing it kind of goes back to the way things are heading as a whole, where it's being this digital format. Like, eventually these digital games or online only games are going to be gone, and you're not going to be able to play them officially anymore. You know, like, I'm sure that I could map my computer to route my Pokemon game to some like internal server somewhere where we could still get mystery gifts and all this other stuff, but like, Yeah, that's too much work.
Yeah, especially for this game.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I don't know, from our experience, and I'm really sorry for people who are super into Diamond and Pearl, but it was a want kind of game.
It was not the game for me.
My total was 39 out of 50.
Mine was 24 out of 50.
That's a 63 out of 100. That's a D for us.
Really? I would have thought that was an F.
No, F is 50.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
59, under 60. So, because it's over 60, it's a D. I just, you know.
It's one of those games we went in with high expectations and left very sad.
Very sad,
It's like going in and getting a chocolate chip cookie and leaving with a raisin.
I just, I wanted it to be good because it's a, an older game that I had never played before. And I remember when you first got it, I remember you telling me that it wasn't so good because of the happiness thing. And here, when you told me that back then, the whole time I thought that was like the focal point of the game is this like happiness meter or something that you had to like maintain happiness with your Pokemon. So I wasn't super interested in it. And, I realize now, obviously, it's not that way, but, like, I kind of wish it would have been. I think that would have been more fun. I don't know. There's not much else for me to say. I think we've beat this one into the ground.
Keep beating a dead horse.
I just am disappointed.
Yeah, it was disappointing. It's partly my fault. I had it all hyped up, I think, for you. I was like, yeah, it was a really good game.
Yeah.
And you haven't played it yet? It'll be great.
I can say, not from experience, but a lot of people have said that Platinum is really good. And, or they fixed some of the problems where, if they added more story, if they made the gameplay a little bit faster, if they added more Pokemon, this I think would have been a really good game. But because those things were lacking, it made it not a good game. And I think that's where we're coming from, So maybe someday we'll have to take a look at Platinum. No.
I would rather take on Platinum, though, than Final Fantasy 1. I will say that. This game is one of my low tier, won't play again. Put it back on the shelf.
Well, I'm glad that you toughed through it, and you did finish the game. I have to say our saving grace was probably Iron Island for both of us.
Yeah.
Because what's unique about Iron Island is that you get a buddy to walk with you. Not a Pokemon buddy, but like a person that meets you in the Iron Caves, and he escorts you through the area. And while he's escorting you, he heals your Pokemon after every single fight. So it makes for this beautiful spot to level grind. And that was our saving grace. Like, we were able to I know I did it when I was playing. I spent like a solid day of just level grinding inside Iron Island. And I mean, you had to do the same thing. So like, if it wasn't for that, I think level grinding in this game would have been torturous. But luckily there was this one little area that I could level grind without too much work.
Seriously.
I mean, it was easy enough to just keep going up and down, and then consistently hitting A until the Pokemon was dead. And then you were healed back up after the fight.
And not only were your health wise, but like everything. It was like going to a Poke Center. Like your PP was healed and everything
reset. Yeah,
which was great because you were there for.
And you do see it first off in that
you can see it on
that forest where the girl, the girl walks with you through the forest, and you're walking her out. But she heals your Pokemon along the way too. And if I'd have known, I'd have sat and level grind in there as well. And I think I even said it when I was playing the area. I'm like, this would be a great spot to level grind. But then she was gone. Like, after you leave, I kind of thought, well, if maybe you go back through, but no, it doesn't. Once you're done with that area, you're done. So it was nice that they had this like little spot that I missed my first time through that area that I went back to. But yeah. Yeah, I can't say any of the gyms were difficult. I mean, I was a little underleveled sometimes, but nothing was overly difficult.
I was was okay amused with the puzzles. Like, they weren't terribly
agreed.
hard. It was just like, this is okay. Like, just a basic puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, normal Pokemon puzzles.
So, yeah.
The Elite Four wasn't terribly hard. I think I ran into a problem with the guy who has Bronzer. I don't remember which one that is.
Lucian. I think his name's Lucian.
But
the psychic guy.
He doesn't have Bronzer. He has Bronzer's evolution, whatever it is. Gong. Yeah, something Gong.
Dong.
Oh, all right. And I had problems with Bronzer and his evolution in every case that I ran across with that Pokemon to fight, but I think that was just my team choice.
I one-hit killed him with my Rapidash.
I don't doubt that.
My only fire Pokemon.
Well, the game's only fire Pokemon. Like, I missed Chimchar, so like literally my only fire choice was Rapidash.
Here's the thing too. It's not like they had freaking Slugma Gen 2. He is just straight up fire. Like, you couldn't throw anyone a bone.
There's so many fire Pokemon.
There's not even like a fire area, really.
I know.
Just where Ponyta apparently is hanging out.
Because it's a plain. It's the plains, a flat area, so they figure, I guess we'll throw Ponyta in here. I don't know. I was bummed.
It would have been even cool. Like, it's not like they didn't have any opportunity. A good place, even if it was just a small place, like in one of like the lower dungeons of like Mount Coronet.
Yeah, like deep in the mountain to have this like volcano pit or something. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Or like instead of having all strictly ground Pokemon, like you could have fire mixed in there.
Sure, yeah.
Or even Iron Island.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I know, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right?
Missed opportunities.
Exactly.
Hire me.
So, I did stream this on Twitch, and everybody who hangs out in Twitch, guys, I so appreciate it. I don't know who all is listening. I don't know who, in general, I don't know who listens to these podcasts, especially all the way through. But guys, thank you all so much for hanging out, especially during the Twitch stuff, because it makes my experience better, especially when it's a boring game. Yeah. But this game specifically, I had to play with an emulator because the Nintendo DS, there's very few options of getting the DS to send to the computer so that I could stream it. So the options that I have that are actually hardware like modifications to the system itself to export your video are really expensive right now, like insanely expensive, because nobody makes them. So I guess what I'm saying is, yes, I did emulate this game. I do physically own it, and I transferred over my save file to my physical game. But you know, if you're watching it through the first, like, definitely the first playthrough.
Weren't you having issues or something?
I was having some major issues with like the controller being wonky and just like all sorts of weirdness. But I worked it all out. I finished the game all live on Twitch. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check it out. It's over on our secondary YouTube channel, which is ZapNight Plays. That's where I park all of our playthrough Twitch streams. So if you guys miss something and you want to watch it back, that's a good place to find it. I've streamed so many games, and I'm going back through and kind of editing some of those. So if you guys like the edited stuff, you can see some of those on our main YouTube page, which is ZapNightGaming. But yeah, so, and maybe some of you are listening to this on ZapNightGaming, and if you are, subscribe. I do appreciate it.
Tell us who's your favorite.
Who's your favorite?
Who's your favorite? Is it
Coast?
Danny or?
Oh, I thought you were saying Pokemon. Jeez.
Hey, who was your team?
It was Alakazam.
That's it. Just Alakazam got you through.
Pretty much. No, it was Alakazam, Luxray, and Torterra. That was my main three that I kept beefed up. I also had I put Dialga on my team kind of as a safety when I was doing the Elite Four, and then I had Bidoof as my HM slave. And then I had somebody else flying Pokemon. I don't remember who it was.
Staraptor? There wasn't very many to choose from.
Yeah, I know.
Did you have a Drifloon?
I did. I had a Drifloon for a little...
Drifloon. He evolves into Drifblimp? Something.
Drift. No, Drift. I don't know. But yes, Drifloon. I used him for a little while because somebody had told me that he's only there on like Tuesdays or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so I changed my clock time to Tuesday and went back in there and I'm like, oh, yay. And I was really excited to use him, but he sucked.
Yeah.
And then I got Drifblimp. Or no, Drifblim. That's what it is. He doesn't have a P at the end. Or Drifblimp. Yeah, there's no P at the end, so it's just Drifblim. But anyway, I had him, and it wasn't
working out.
Yeah, so I had to switch him out with somebody. Yeah,
unemployment.
I had to set him free.
Yeah. Just kidnap other children.
But yeah, and then I had one other slot that I just kind of randomly cycled some Pokemon through. I think I tried to put for the Elite Four. I think I put just like a random Pokemon that had like higher HP, but like it wasn't anything important. What was your team?
I had my Empoleon. I can't remember his name.
Oh, the Emperor Penguin guy?
Yeah, my penguin. Yeah. I know his name. I feel like I can't remember all of a sudden.
I always just remember him as Emperor Penguin. Penguin. I don't really know what his name is.
I have Piplup's final evolution.
Yeah, there you go.
I had my Rapidash. I had Golduck. I grabbed a Psyduck and I kind of felt like I think this is gonna be my psychic Pokemon. But it kind of contradicted me carrying my starter because it was also
water.
But it helped because he had flying and a metal move, so I kept him
nice.
on. I had a Badoo. I did not evolve him because I love him as he is, and I hate his final evolutions.
That was like Bidoof. I had an Everstone on my Bidoof that I farmed for, and I just kept him a Bidoof. I'm like, he's never going to be a Daryl. I will not let my Bidoof become a Daryl.
Did I mention this already on the stream, my Bidoof?
Yeah, you did.
I did. So so I renamed him Bidoof. And then he actually ended up being... I used him like 90% of the game, and then the last half, I didn't really have a need for him. My others kind of plowed through. And then I had like an Onyx, and I also had an extra... I had Bidoof for the longest time. But then I thought that I was going to try and keep a Sneasel on my team, and it really wasn't working. By then, I was done with the game, so I was just like, just
you only really need like 3 or 4 Pokemon to beat the Elite Four that are like decently leveled.
Well, you had mentioned using Dialga, and I remember thinking when I was watching you beat it, I was like, oh yeah, I should do that so they have a higher level to kind of like my buffer.
That's exactly why I did it, yeah.
I had died once in the Elite Four because of stupid Cynthia's Garchomp.
Yeah.
But I went through again, just kind of reorganized, and I was fine. Yeah. So
that's usually how it goes. Like, if you have a hard time with the gym or whatever, if you play through once, you kind of can catch your flaws, and it's like, okay, if I'd have done a few things a little bit different, I can do it. So then you go back and you fight them again, and it's like, I just make those changes, and then boom, you beat them just fine, you know?
What was your level-ish?
It was mid-60s when I finally beat... I leveled up my core 3 to level 60 in the Iron Island, but by the time I actually made it to the Elite Four, it was mid-60s. And then I had my other 3 that were just random.
I think one of mine was level 18.
Yeah, I think Dialga, I think was only level 30 or something like that. So it's not abnormally leveled up.
Yeah, this game sucked.
But it's over. Yeah. It's over. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yay!
So what's our next game gonna be?
Final Fantasy Simulator? I don't know.
Final Fantasy Simulator?
That'd be a cool concept.
That's interesting.
Final Fantasy VIII?
Yeah, I think we're gonna start up Final Fantasy VIII. So I'll be streaming Final Fantasy VIII on Twitch, and that'll be starting pretty much right away. By the time you guys are listening to this, I probably have already started. I'm probably going to start Monday, and this is
Saturday night.
We're recording this Saturday before September 1st, so the 1st falls on a Tuesday, so I will have streamed yesterday. from if you're listening to this.
That
I don't
sounds
know,
like a lot
whatever.
of time travel. You had Dialga, so I guess you would know.
I can time travel all I want. So yeah, we're going to be starting Final Fantasy VIII. I hope you guys are excited for that. We're going to take 2 months to play it, at least. So in the meantime, right now the plan is maybe Bee Simulator, but we're going to fill next podcast episode with something a little bit shorter because we're playing Final Fantasy VIII. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you're following us on Twitch because you can watch me play through Final Fantasy VIII while I'm doing it. And of course, I always appreciate anybody who wants to stop in, even if you just say hi and, say that you've listened to the podcast. That would make my day. Seriously, that is awesome. So, yeah, Final Fantasy VIII, maybe Bee Simulator, maybe something like Gris even. I mean, there's a handful of games that are only a couple hours long that we could sit and knock out pretty quick. So otherwise, we do all sorts of other stuff on our YouTube channel. We do thrift shop games. I have a couple game accessory videos that are up on our YouTube channel. There's all sorts of interesting things. Obviously, you can go to ZapNight Plays YouTube channel where you can watch all of our previous live playthrough episodes over there. So yeah, we're all over the place.
There's lots of content.
Finally,
our hard work.
I know, and that's really what it boils down to is we put a lot of work into this, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. And if you want to say something, just let us know. Feel free to contact us about anything. If you disagree with our scores, let us know why. What did we get wrong? What did we miss that you're just dying to tell us? I would love to hear your thoughts. Guys, and Discord. So Kaylie has been awesome, and she set up our Discord channel, and it is live. There's a link in the description. You can go to our Discord. It's an invitation to our Discord channel. You guys are welcome to join us over there. Come say hi. I check it regularly, so I mean, if you guys jump in there and you start talking, I will be in there and talking with you. We're going to be doing all sorts of interesting stuff in there. We might do some exclusive streams in Discord. We might do some polls and other things in Discord.
Special stuff.
We might do some movie nights in there too, eventually. So, I don't know, if that sounds like fun, open invitation in the description. Have at it.
Just
and
say hi.
Yeah.
Someone will be there to greet you.
It'd be great to just hear from you. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is it for this episode. I hope you had some fun. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.